chapstick. Must need. It is winter and it feels like I need this way more often. So, hi everyone, I'm April and you're watching the Tangled Cat Speaks. I'm going to be talking this time about some projects for knitting and crochet, and I'm going to be talking about books in the same video. So let's go ahead and get started. It is the end of January 2025, and January is my anniversary month of when I started this channel, and I started it January 2018, so I think that's been 6 years. I think I'm starting my 7th year. I'm not gonna math. So let's talk about books first. I don't have the book with me anymore because I've already donated it, but the last book that I believe that I was talking about was the Dragon Quintet. It was a collection of 5 short stories about dragons, and I did finish that. Really enjoyed it. However, I think I am deciding that I don't care for short stories, mostly because you get invested in the characters, in the world, in the plot line, everything, and then it's done. And there's no more, and I don't know, it just kind of feels just not enough. So I think I'm going to try to avoid most short stories in the future. And I do have several other omnibuses that are short stories, like murder mysteries, ghost stories, stuff like that. So I've been trying to get rid of books that I don't think that I want to read anymore. So I'm going to get, so I've taken out as many short story collections as I can. I think the only exception is going to be any short story by Agatha Christie, because Agatha Christie is my favorite and I love everything and I want everything, including the short stories. But for everything else, I think in general, I think I'm going to avoid short stories in the future. So let's talk about what I've started. Actually, no, hold on. Let's still talk about 2.5 seconds on The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. Haven't picked it up in months. It's still only about 20% done. I have been distracted lately. But I did pick up a couple of other things now that the new year started. So what I'm doing is I'm going to be moving house soon. And so I'm slowly trying to pack up books. And whenever I get a box, I'm putting books in them. And I'm cataloging them in the book that's on the floor. I'm cataloging them so that I know which books are in which box in case I need to know that. I've got them by the title, the author, and the year that it was originally published. And I'm doing that because I have this plan that I want to do to try to get me into more of the books that I actually own. And so what I want to do is read at, I don't even remember where I heard this idea. It was definitely not my own idea. I heard it somewhere on YouTube, but I don't remember who. But I want to read a book from every year since the year I was born. So 1971 through current. And at first I was going to try to do that in order, like by year, but then I thought that's too restrictive. No. So since I've got all these books cataloged and I know where exactly to find them, I want to use a random number generator to help me pick which box to choose from. And then in that box, I will pick a book. And if it's something that I want to read at the moment, and it's also something that is a year that I haven't checked off the list yet, then I'm going to do that. And right now, since it's the beginning of the whole situation, it's going to be easy for me to pick books because I don't have that many checked off yet, obviously. So that's my plan. Also, I am going to allow myself to DNF books. And that also means, see, I'm trying to really get rid of books. And so I'm trying to give myself at least 10% into the book. If I'm not feeling it, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm going to let it go. And if it happens to be part of a series, I'm going to just chuck the whole series. I really, really need to make space because where I'm moving to, it's smaller and I'm not going to have as much room, because when I started this whole boxing and cataloging thing, I thought, oh, I've got maybe 300 books. I'm done boxing. I'm not quite done with the cataloging of the last few boxes, but the last count I had was 667 books. And that was many boxes ago. So I think I'm going to have close to 700 books. No, not 700. What am I saying? I think I'm going to have closer to 800 or 900 books. Physical books. This is not even counting anything audio or digital. So I did the thing because my brain does weird things, and I thought, I think I'm going to just assume that I have about 1,100 books combined with the different types. And if I do, say, 3 books a month, and I'm consistent with that, it's going to take me 28 years to read them all. Yeah, so I'm just trying to find ways to get through all of them. And like I said, DNFing is going to be a thing. If I'm not feeling it at 10% into the book, then done. So let's move on to what I am actually reading right now. I've had this one for a while. I thought it looked really, really cool. This is The Singing Bones by Sean Tam. And this figurine here is a sculpture made by Sean. And what the book is about is he went through several Grimm fairy tales and made a sculpture to kind of correspond to that story, and then put like a little bit of an excerpt for each story. And so, for example, there's this figurine here, and this is, I don't know all of the Grimm fairy tales, so Mother Holle, Holle, Holly. And I haven't read that part yet, so I don't know what that figurine is supposed to represent in the story. Let's see if I can find something that's more of a story that I am familiar with. It seems like some of these, it's not going to be just the Grimm fairy tales that we're familiar with. You know, the all-time big ones. See, I'm not finding. Oh, look, here's one. Rumpelstiltskin. And that's the figurine that they made to kind of represent the story. So it's kind of like an art gallery type of book, but it's also, you know, giving you a little nibble of what each story is. So it's really, really cool. And I just started it, so I'm only like on, what page am I on? I don't know. I'm on the 9th story. out of I don't know how many, but yeah. See, that's how far I've read. Right here. It's really fun to just kind of, you know, when you got a spare minute or two, just to read one and then flip. And they're really pretty pictures, just glossy, and it's just, the sculptures are crazy cool. So I'm enjoying this one. That one's going to take me a little bit though, just because, like I say, I'm just reading it in bits and pieces here and there. The other book that I am reading is this one and I took the cover, the jacket off. The Old Woman with the Knife, and I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's a Korean author, Gu Byung-mo, or Ku Byung-mo. And I was really intrigued by the premise of this one, because it's about an old woman, an elderly woman. I think she's in her 60s. And I want to say, the word elderly, just, that really hurts me to say that right now. I'm in my 50s and this woman's in her 60s, and I'm like, elderly feels wrong. Anyway, she's an assassin, and she kind of gets by because she's an unassuming older woman. Nobody's paying attention to her. She's just kind of background wherever she goes. She's just in the background. And she's kind of contemplating whether or not she's getting to the age where she needs to start thinking about retirement. But I was saying I was intrigued by this premise because I've read 3 stories with that same kind of premise. There was another one, I can't remember the name of it, but it was also about an elderly assassin who used her main weapon of choice is a knitting needle. You can see why that appealed to me. And I'll have to put the name and author up here because I can't remember the name of it. And then there was another, it was a duology out of Scandinavia somewhere. I can't remember where that author is from. But it's about an older woman, and she's not an assassin. This woman just kills for her own personal reasons. Nobody's paying her for this. But because, she's an old, fragile-looking woman, nobody thinks to question her. Even though she's in the vicinity of these deaths, nobody thinks to question her because she's an old, frail woman, and why would they even make her a person of interest? So those 2 stories, and again, I'll put the author and titles up here. Those 2 stories were just funny because she's also got a very witty sense of humor. Really enjoyed that book. So when I found this in a little free library, and then I read what it was about, I'm like, oh, I'm getting it. So, let's see, I'm definitely more than 10% in because I'm really enjoying it. I'm only about 80 pages in, and there's about 260. Really enjoying it, having a very good time with it. So I'm not going to be DNFing this one, but I have to decide now when I'm done whether or not I'm going to keep these books. I'm trying to get rid of stuff and only keep the absolutely beloved books. So I'll see. When I'm done with these 2 books, I will make a decision on whether or not I'm going to keep them. And I need to start a list of the books that I read. Like I said, for the years from 1971 to current. And then there was also going to be another little caveat in my little rule about all of that. Is if I open a box, the random number generator picks a box and there are no books that don't fall within that time range, 1971 to current, if there are no books in there that are the years are available for me to read on that checklist, then I'm going to read something from before 1971. And I've got books way earlier than that too. So I'm just trying to keep reading, keep chugging along, and keep getting through these books. Oh yeah, I was going to see this one. The Old Woman with the Knife was published in 2022, so I can mark that off. And the Singing Bones, I know, I come up with the weird, crazy ideas, and then I wonder why I'm stressed out because I'm trying to keep up to my own rules. Where is the page with the year? 2015. So I've got 2 years checked off, or I could check off already. where am I going to put these where they don't fall? I have so much junk around here. Like I say, I'm trying to pack things up slowly so that when it comes down to the last few days of me moving, it's not so overwhelming. So I've got junk everywhere. Yarn. What am I doing with the yarn? So the last thing that I talked about was my gifts for my sisters, which I didn't end up getting them done for Christmas, but we are getting together soon for a Galentine's kind of sister date. And so I'm going to bring these and give them to them then. They both know what they're getting, although they haven't seen the finished projects yet. If they happen to see them on here, that's okay, because they already know what they're getting. So the one sister, she's getting socks. And I was just about done with these the last time we spoke. You and I spoke, not me and them. So I got both done. The ends are all tucked in. Everything's cool. So again, this was just pretty much just my own top-down way of making socks with the rounded umbrella style toe, heel flap and gusset with slip stitch, and then this here, and I'll have to find the pattern and put the name up here. This little lace bit did come from another sock pattern, and I just kind of inserted it there. So that's for the one sister. And the other one, I'm going to put a picture here because it's the poncho, black crocheted. I'll put a picture here of it done hanging, but I still have it over here, so let me grab that real quick. Give me a minute. Look at this. Oh yeah. Very, very cool. It's gonna look fabulous on her. And it's a really cool design because the way that it's written, it's not a perfect square or diamond where like the front and the back is longer than where it falls on the arms, if that makes any kind of sense. So it's a very flattering kind of construction. It just doesn't have like the floppy points on the arms, which I really, really like. It is cotton. It is like a sport weight cotton, and I think she's gonna love it, and it's gonna look great on her. I'm very, very, very happy. There was something else I was gonna say about it. Oh, I did add a few rows to it because I think my crochet gauge is tighter than what the pattern called for. So I did just wing it at adding rows. The different stitch patterns that are on there easily memorizable for me, so I just kind of added them in here and there wherever I thought I wanted to change up when adding more rows. So that I did do, but everything else I just pretty much went according to pattern. Very, very fun, very easy. It did take me a long time just because, you know, life, and I've been procrastinating, and I had my whole lost my mojo kind of thing for quite a while. So that's the only reason why it took me a long time, but it is very easy to knit, very quick, and very fun. So I got all of those done. What am I working on now? I wanted to work on so many things. I've got so many whips. We all know I've got so many whips. I've got at least 30. And I decided to start a new thing with an Halloween advent type thing from Toad Hollow. So in October, I got this box from Toad Hollow that I had ordered. It's a mystery box, and it was the 13 days leading up to Halloween. and the theme was Clue, the board game Clue. And I adore the movie Clue. I think we talked about this. We might have talked about this before, but I did go see a play here locally. I saw a play based on both the game and the movie, and oh my gosh, it was so fun. I had a blast. I thoroughly loved it. Very fun. So let's see, I can't remember the color names. This is the Counterpoint shawl. I'll have to put the name of the designer up here. I actually made one before. Hold on. Let me grab the other one. This is one that I made with the Halloween Advent kind of thing that Toad Hollow did. I think this was 2022. It was the Witch's Garden theme. And oh, I love this thing so much. It's so colorful, so bright. This pattern though was only written for 1 or 2 balls, and the super long color runs, sort of like an ombre in and out kind of effect is the way that she's got it. But I chose to break it up because it just so happened that there are 12 the offset triangles, and I used the 13th color as the transition in between. So if you look closely here, let's see, so at the end this is the transition color here, the 13th color, and then in between each section I've put that transition color. I'm starting my 5th color now, so I don't remember the name of this one. I don't even want to say. I know the transition color I'm using is the hall, or the hallway. This is Colonel Mustard. I think this brown is, I don't recall. It's part of the setting. Like, I don't remember which room. I don't remember. This one here is the conservatory, I think. And then I'm starting the 5th color here, which is Mr. Green. So it's a really cool combination of the setting, locations of the game and the characters. Super fun. And I love this pattern. It's so easy to do. I wouldn't quite say memorizable because it is comprised of a lot of short rows, but it's easy once you get a little bit of the first of each row. You can do the whole row without really paying that much attention, and then the next row you just look for a little bit and then go again, and it seems to go super quick for me. I'm really enjoying it, and I can't wait to have a second counterpoint shawl with Toad Hollow yarn. So that is what I have been working on. Yeah, I did also finish a beanie for my son's friend's sister. Unfortunately, this young woman is dealing with cancer, and my son wanted to give her a beanie because, for her hair loss situation. And so I went ahead and made that, and I forgot to take a picture when I was done. But I did get a text from my son, who had gotten a text from the girl, and she really enjoyed that. So it was she wanted purple, so I had picked some purple acrylic. I didn't want to use wool because I didn't know if she would be sensitive to it. Yeah, so I did do that. So I have been crafting here and there. Just haven't really been getting on to update you guys as often as I would like. But that's really all that I have been up to. I was going to show you this in the dark with it on, but I tried it and I didn't want to give anybody it's flashing lights, so I didn't want to do it. This is a light stick. Let's get this out of the way. This is a light stick for stray kids. I mentioned recently that I am obsessed with the K-pop group Stray Kids, and my son and I are going in May to Seattle to go see them on their worldwide tour. And I had to have a light stick so I can wave it around and be a fan. So super excited. We've got the tickets for the concert. We've got the flight booked, and now we just need to get a place to stay. This is not till the end of May though, so very, very excited. Oh, I cannot wait. Super, super cool. But other than that, I don't really have a whole lot more to talk about. Yeah, nope. That's it. Actually, no. Lie. Let's go back to books for a second. I did just recently DNF an audiobook. About a year ago, maybe a little less than that, I was listening to the Poppy Wars. I had done the first 2 books, and they were kind of for me, and then I went into that whole funk where I wasn't doing anything for a long time, and I decided to finally get back into the Poppy Wars, and I started just a couple days ago. I started The Burning God, which is the last book in the trilogy, and I got, I think maybe the second chapter, maybe third chapter, I'm not sure, but I did not enjoy it. There was some backstory that they started talking about, and I don't want to give anything away in case anybody wants to read it, but there's a little bit of backstory going on that I just did not like. It just didn't. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to say it. If you want to if you want to read or listen to The Burning God, book 3 of the Poppy Wars, don't pay attention to me for a few minutes. This whole backstory has to do with a particular nation of people that it's always been apparently the myth has been that they were evolved from monkeys or something. And then this book starts off with that backstory, and it turns out that there was a princess who was kidnapped by a beast monkey type thing, and he raped her. She had children, and it created this race of people. And that just took me out. I did not want to know the rest of the story. I'm like, I didn't like that at all. I know it's fantasy, and I know it's just a book, but I just didn't. Like I said, I was kind of meh on the whole first 2 books anyway, and that was just too much for me. I'm like, that's just silly. Come on. Not to mention, like I said, one of the big things that I didn't like about this whole thing, the main character did not like her at all. I still don't. But I mean, she's a young girl. She's got these powers, and yes, this is a fantasy, like I said, but never, ever, anywhere could I suspend my belief that a young girl is so disrespectful to military leaders and she's not getting any repercussions for it. And then she ends up rather quickly leading troops on her own. Like I just, that to me was just silly. Like, I get it. It's a young adult story, and I don't know. It's not my thing. Poppy Wars is not my thing. So I went ahead and DNF'd that audiobook, and I haven't decided yet what I'm going to listen to next, but I'm thinking it's going to be science fiction. So I'm going to go through what I own on Audible and find something science fiction-y, and that'll be the next thing that I listen to. So yeah, that's the end of everything I have to say for this time. And I'm sorry, I keep shaking this table. Very bad about that. I move my hands a lot, and anyways, I hope that you have a good rest of January, and I hope to see you in at least a month. Thank you for spending some time with me, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.